Cape Fear Business Roundtable is sponsored by two branding partners located under one roof right here in southeastern North Carolina. Pioneer Strategies is a strategic communication firm focused on helping you build success through effective strategic communication. Pioneer Specialties is your promotional products partner, ready to help you through the entire process from product research through product delivery. For more information about our sponsors, visit capefearbusiness.com. Welcome to Cape Fear Business Roundtable. I'm your host, Frank Williams, and today our guest is Velva Jenkins, who is currently, for about another month, the CEO of the YWCA Lower Cape Fear. Velva, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for the invitation, Frank. I appreciate it.
And while this podcast normally focuses on business, about once a quarter, we do try to bring on someone from a local nonprofit that does good work in our community, and that's obviously what we're doing today. But I've known Velva since before she was in this current role. She was with Brunswick Community College, both full-time and prior to that part-time for over 30 years. So she's certainly got a history of working in this community, doing a lot of different things.
Mhm.
So Velva, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. And one of the questions I like to ask is, obviously we live in a place that a lot of people are moving in from a lot of places.
Mhm.
So tell us, are you from here? And if you're not from here, tell us how you got here. I think I know the answer to that though. But tell us.
I'm a native of Brunswick County. My family has been here since the early 1800s. So we have just a total devoted lifestyle to Brunswick County.
And you may be the first Brunswick County native I've had on here. Most people tell me where they moved from and how many stops they had
Yeah,
on the way here.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I know my mother's family was in Brunswick County in the 1800s, and my
Mhm.
father's family was in Columbus County in the late 1700s. So we
Yeah,
have that in common. So
exactly.
we are both,
We're just
but
country people.
and the area is changing, and that's good and bad. There are good and bad things that come with it. Certainly, there's a lot of economic opportunity, but what before we get into talking about your professional life, tell us a little bit about what you do when you're not working, your favorite things to do, places to go in this part of the state.
Okay, great, Frank. When I saw that question, I thought about it, because I'm a workaholic. I work a lot.
Never would have guessed.
Yeah. I just love working. I love being in the community and supporting our community. But really, there is a place I can say is a place of serenity for me, and that is the beach. And I know a lot of people probably say that, but I, like a native of Brunswick County, been around beaches all my life, but I don't really get an opportunity to go very often. But when I do go to the beach, Frank, oh, it's such a serenity for me. It's just peaceful. And I always says, gosh, why don't I take more time to come here? But as I said, I'm a workaholic, but when I go, I could feel my body, my spirit, and my mind just relax and slow down.
And I can fully identify with every bit of that because as close as we live to the beach, I don't see it as anywhere near as often as I should for the
That's
same
right.
reason.
That's
But when
right.
I go, it's just, when you put your feet in the sand, it's like the world just goes away
That's right.
and you
Exactly.
can just relax and enjoy it.
Mhm.
I found about three trends in response to that question. A lot of them are beach or something outdoors, and the other half tend to involve food. I have apparently a lot of guests whose life revolves around where they eat, and I might fall on the air on that side a lot of the time as well. And then one person said their own backyard because no one bothers them there.
Well, I'm a homebody when I am home, so that's good too.
So obviously, we've already talked a little bit about your career journey, and prior to this current role, you were at Brunswick Community College for a long time and did a lot of things there. So tell us about your career journey and how you got started and what you did and how that led you through your time at BCC to your current role, which I know you're retiring in January, I believe.
That's right.
Congratulations
Right.
on that.
Thank you. Well, Frank, I graduated from Brunswick County High School, South Brunswick High School. Went from high school directly to college. Went to University of North Carolina here at Wilmington, and I was on that campus yesterday, and I was like, wow! I even got lost. I was walking, I got lost because the
Yeah.
campus is nothing like it was when I was there, many years ago. And after I graduated from South Brunswick High School, and went to UNC Wilmington. I graduated there with a degree, a bachelor's degree in business administration from the Cameron School of Business. And I left there and I went into retail. I was a manager for J.C. Penney's and moved to Goldsboro, North Carolina, where I was the manager of infants and children's department. And that was a great experience for me. And that was before computers. And we had to do inventory by hand, and we had to do our ordering by physically going to Atlanta and picking out the clothes and buying merchandise that we felt would sell in our community. But just before I left J.C. Penney's, they started introducing computers. So then inventory started being tracked by computers. So that meant they needed less managers. And so some managers got sent to other location. Some also lost their jobs. But I decided to come back to this area, to Brunswick County. And when I did, I went back into retail with a beauty supply company called Bowman's Beauty Supply, and I was the buyer and also the marketing rep. So I would travel 4 states doing that, North Carolina, South Carolina, a part of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, and Atlanta, Georgia. And once I left that job, I'll never forget this day. I was sitting in my mom's living room and I was reading a newspaper because on Sunday afternoon, that's where the children would go. Her children would go to her house, eat dinner, and we would sit around in the living room and chit chat about life. And I read in a newspaper there was a job with Brunswick Community College as the Small Business Center director. Brand new position, didn't have the program. It had to be started. You had to start that program from scratch. And I claimed that job. I said, that's my job. I know I can do this. And I applied and I did. And that was in 1986. And loved that position and had a great career at Brunswick Community College and start moving up. But shortly after that, I decided I wanted to work on my master's degree in business administration. So I enrolled into Webster University. And my professors were just some of the most amazing professors. I would travel to Myrtle Beach for my classes. And they would definitely talk about seeing me with a Fortune 500 company. They said, you need to change your career track. But Frank, that wasn't in the cards. I wanted to be in Brunswick County. And I loved what I was doing at Brunswick Community College. So I did not pursue their recommendations. And I spent, I spent 32 years, over 32 years there at Brunswick Community College. And when I retired, I was vice president of economic and workforce development. So I had a very successful career doing that, especially working with economic development. I got a chance to work with the county commissioners, the economic developer, not just locally, but all over North Carolina. So I retired in 2018. And I just knew I was going to be retired for a short period of time. I knew I wanted to do something different, but I wanted to do something more in helping people, directly helping people. So as I did my daily walks in my community, I just kind of prayed to God and said, send me something that where I could help people and be able to make a difference in their lives. Not that education didn't, but I wanted to make a more direct impact. And I started getting calls from nonprofits to do projects for them. That's how it started. And I was on the board of the YWCA, never thought that they would need someone, but I was just on the board providing board service. And when the CEO decided she was going to be moving, so they asked me to be interim. And that was in 2019. And I thought that was going to last for a couple of months. And here it is, 6 years later.
I know how those things go. You talked about, I've got 2 young employees who I think this is the last year that their combined age is less than mine.
hmm
And you talked about a few things that will probably be foreign to them. One is life before computers. And I remember my first computer had a cassette player in it instead of a
Mhm,
CD or DVD.
mhm.
And so, I had jobs that, before computers, and I think that they would not understand that.
Yeah,
And I also think that a lot of them have not had enough Sunday afternoon meals at a grandma's house. And the final thing is a newspaper.
yeah,
And I knew the world had changed when my then 89, 88-year-old father quit getting the print newspaper.
yeah,
And that was
yeah.
when I knew the world was changing. So
That's right.
we've both seen a lot of changes in the world and also in this area over the
Oh
years.
gosh, yes. Yeah, my mother lived to be over 100. She died in 2015. And I remember before she died, she would say she could not believe the way Brunswick County looked. It's not like she remembered it. And she was born in 1914. So, paved highways did not exist for her as a child in Brunswick County. So she was very impressed with the difference of the community.
And my dad was born in 1932, and when came back from the army, he didn't have a car at first. He would hitchhike to get around.
Hmm.
These days, very few people would do that unless they didn't have another choice because you'd be
That's
worried about
right.
your safety. But
Oh my
he
gosh,
didn't think
yes.
anything of it. It was just
That's
how he
right.
got around,
Exactly.
so it's certainly a different world. And he would talk about riding a wagon behind a mule to get somewhere when he was a kid, and whole different world now than it was then. But we could
Yeah,
probably talk about that
right.
for a few hours.
We
Talk
could.
a little bit about, the changes you saw in the business community and for the workforce while you were in your roles, because obviously I think workforce is certainly a big part of our economy. Businesses look for that, but then from the perspective of the person in the workforce who maybe their skills are getting outdated, how, for what you've seen, what would you tell people in that workforce that they would need to do to stay up to date based on your experience looking at it from where you were?
Oh my gosh, it's easier today than it was for me to keep up with trends because of the computers and internet.
Right.
I would tell any young person to stay connected to the media, stay connected to the internet, chat, this AI. Oh, it's going to be a world of difference. It's a little scary and it's a little exciting,
Wow.
Frank. Um, I use AI a little bit in my work. It does help with productivity, but it's scary because you don't know what jobs could be eliminated.
Exactly.
Just like when you have Zoom meetings, you can have the notes being developed as you meet. And then when you
Do that
get them, you
frequently.
just sharpen them up and you're done. So where normally you would have an administrative assistant or your secretary of your board taking those minutes. And that's almost obsolete now. You don't need that. So I would suggest that the young people don't stop learning. If you finish college and you have your degree, don't close that door to education. Continue to learn and continue to read and continue to reach other dimensions of learning.
That's a recurring theme I hear from almost everybody I interview, is that if you want to be successful, you can never stop learning. And I think
Right.
AI is a perfect example of why. I mean,
Hmm.
it's changing the world so quickly. And I would encourage people learn how to use it, but also learn how not to use it the wrong way, because it'd be
Correct.
easy to accidentally upload some client's proprietary information to a public chat GPT, and then you've put it in the public domain.
That's right.
You've
That's
got to be
right.
careful about things like that. And I don't, this is a little bit off topic, but I heard a story in a seminar I was in a while back about a lawyer up in New York or somewhere who um, got in trouble because they presented some cases in their court case that they had gotten from AI. Well, AI had made them up. They weren't real cases.
Ooh.
And they didn't bother to check it. But guess who did? The other attorney on the other side. And they lost their law license.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there are lots of things that people would need to learn how to do. But I think keeping up with the media to know what's happening and what the trends are is where I think a big takeaway from that. But,
Exactly. Exactly.
well, obviously you've been since, I believe you said 2018 with the YWCA, or 2019, but tell us about what the YWCA does in the community, the types of programs you offer, and
what you're proud of that you've been able to accomplish there, and what kind of legacy you're hoping to leave behind when you retire, or at least theoretically retire. We'll see how
Yeah.
that plays out because
Right, right.
you like to work like me.
Well, this organization is one of the largest women movement, and we call ourselves a movement because we are very open to what's happened in our local community and be able to pivot and be able to respond very quickly. But it's been in this community since 1914, for over 111 years. It's been in the community. And we started off early in the 1914s as a very Christian organization. And you probably remember, and some of our listeners probably remember it calling the Young Women's Christians
Right.
Association. And we would definitely work in the realm of Christianity and being very open to doing the right thing and treating women right, making sure that they are treated fairly, their families are treated fairly. Well, the YWCA have not gotten far from that first purpose and mission of the YW back in 1914. And of course, we're part of a national organization that started probably closer to over almost 200 years, 180 some years old. So we're not quite as old as our oldest because it's been around for a long time. But we are a organization that we focus on women's rights and women's needs to empower them to be the best that they can be. And our mission is to empower women and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all people. So our organization is about humanity work, making sure that people meet their needs and their needs are met and that they have an opportunity to thrive in the community. So we focus on marginalized families, making sure that opportunities are available and accessible. And we touch bases from workforce development to um, to human services and health services for families. And we have a lot of programs, Frank, that range from childcare, affordable childcare, safe childcare, and that is to help families that don't have the means to pay very high rates on childcare and they want to leave their children in a safe space. So
That
we're
is an important service because I hear a lot about the cost of childcare, and that's been a topic workforce related because if you're spending your entire salary for childcare, you're not going to do very well in the workplace.
that's
And so
right.
I didn't know you did that, and that's so I wanted to just interject that I think that's important. I had no idea the YWCA was involved in that, so
Oh yes,
that's important for
we've
people
been
to
in
know.
childcare since probably early probably around 2013,
Okay,
15, and we became licensed in 2020 2015. But
okay,
yes, we take care of babies as young as 6 weeks of age, up into grade 6,
okay.
after school program and summer camp program. And we are probably one of the only nonprofits that have affordable childcare that we accept vouchers. So we get children from all walks of life, from foster homes, from um, families with means, and those that are raised by their grandparents or from single moms. But that's what our child care does. And we have an amazing staff here at the YWCA that I would entrust my grandchild with because they do such an amazing job. We
That's good
screen
stuff.
our employees, they're fingerprinted, they're screened. They have to be approved by the state of North Carolina to work at our center. And we also have transportation for after school pickup. So we go to the schools and pick up those children. Even our pre-K kids, we pick them up from pre-K and they spend the afternoon with us. The other program that we have that is probably known to a lot of swimmers and people that love water, and that's our aquatics program. And that program came in existence in the 70s. We built the pool and it was an outdoor pool. But in 2000, we covered that. We had a small campaign that covered that pool. So we have a year-round pool that we do all types of water fitness programs and health, to improve health and to maintain health for the elderly and seniors and those that need rehabilitation. And water is one of the easiest way to do that. We have swim teams, and we just a couple of years ago we partnered with the YMCA, and we received funding from the endowment to offer schools and pools. That means every second grader in New Hanover County will get swim skills and water safety skills, and they spend a week on our campus doing so. So that's been a great opportunity. And I would love to also present this opportunity to Brunswick County. And I want to come talk to some of the people that could help fund this. And let's bring this program to Brunswick County. And we could start off with Bolivia Elementary and Supply Elementary, that's very close to Brunswick Community College, and offer a second grade swim program in Brunswick County. And then, Frank, we have outreach programs. That means that these are non-fee driven programs. We have 3 programs in Columbus County. We have a teen parenting program. We have what we call a early parenting, an empowerment parenting program for adult parents to teach them parenting skills. And we have a grandparent support program in Columbus County, and that's a kinship care. Those are individuals that taking care of family members, children, and for some reason, they were left with that adult to take care of them. It could be opioids or drugs or imprisonment, whatever that family could not take care of their child. They leave them with another family member to raise. And that is a very great program. And we also do the same thing here in New Hanover County. That program has been in existence since 2015 here in our community. And we provide emergency funds for those families. Sometimes these families can't make it through Christmas. They can't put food on the table, or they can't buy the children Christmas gifts. Well, we are their angel. We make sure that they're fed. We make sure they have a proper meal for holidays. And not just holidays, but any time that they face food insecurity, this program supports them. We also have what we call our HER path, and that's Hope, Empowerment, Resilience. And it is a program that is focusing only on women. Um, we make sure that we advocate for women's rights. We also help them with workforce skills, financial skills like budgeting, making sure they're meeting their needs of the community, or their household, and also the community. But that is a great program to connect, and it's a connector throughout New Hanover County. And we will move this to any other county. If someone calls us in Brunswick, Pender, or Columbus County, this program is movable, it's transferable. Those are some of our programs, Frank, that we offer. And we also, we pivot with times. And let me tell you what I mean by that. When I came on board in 2019, I really thought this was going to be an easy job for me because I've been in management and budgeting for many years. And in 2020, we all know what happened, right? COVID. I lost all of my revenue streams as the YWCA CEO, but we kept our child care center open for essential workers. And that's not the first time the YWCA has responded to a pandemic. But the other pandemic that was in the early hundreds, what was it, 1914, 1916, the Spanish flu. We also was a hospital ward for the hospital here in New Hanover County, didn't have any room to serve the sick people. The YWCA became a hospital ward, and they brought the sick people into our facility and cared for them and nurtured them to health. So we have been pivoting in our community for many years. when there is an issue, when there is a concern. Also, we were very vocal, very instrumental in making sure the first female was hired on the sheriff department here in Wilmington. So we've been doing this work for a long time, and it's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. And I see everyone, whoever they are, whatever culture they come from, as our humanity family, a human family. And there is a quote that I love. It is by Maya Angelou. And she says, "We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike." And so that's about the YWCA. We work for everyone, and we help build resilience and make sure people are thriving in the community.
I think just listening to you talk, it's clear you have a passion for what you do. And I think to
Mhm.
be effective in a nonprofit, you better believe in the cause and you better be passionate about it
That's
because it's,
right.
you said you thought it'd be an easy job, and nonprofits are, it's one thing when people work for you that you're paying, but volunteers don't have to be there. They can go
No,
somewhere else and they
no,
will.
yeah.
And man, I've read a leadership book where it said if you want to see what kind of leader you have, put them in charge of volunteers before you put them in charge of paid workers.
That's right.
You will
That's right.
learn.
That's right. That's exactly it
And,
is hard work. It really is probably
it
some of
is.
the hardest work I've ever done in my life.
But you're making a difference, and I've learned a lot about what the YWCA is. And I've read another book, and I don't even remember which book it was years ago, but the person made the argument that one of the things that sets countries like the United States apart from many countries that we would consider to be third world is civic engagement,
Oh, yeah.
because you have people stepping up and helping people because they want to, not because they have to.
That's right.
And
That's
that
right.
really is part of what I think sets, and sets this area apart as well. You look at the volunteers in Brunswick County and so many things, whether it's the sheriff's office or, the Rotary clubs or whatever. There's so many different ways that people get involved, and they do it because they want to, and also because their spouse wants them out of the house sometime. I do hear that.
That might be what Ronnie wants me out the house.
But, you mentioned pivoting and adapting, and I think that's so important because
Mhm.
you'll see some groups that are trying to solve the same problem that was 20 years ago, and that may be a problem, but the world has changed, and they have to approach it in today's terms and be able to adapt to what's happening out there.
Yeah.
Little off-topic question. You mentioned, I think, 1914 is the year the YWCA started.
Mhm.
What year did you say your mother was born? Was it your mother or grandmother?
Thank you for asking about that again. And I'll tell you a story about that, Frank. My mother was born in 1914,
19, same
and
year.
let me tell you something else that's very interesting. The YWCA opened our doors July 1914. July 14th, 1914. My mother was born July 14th, 1914. So
So some things are just meant to happen.
that was part of my decision. When I learned all that, that told me that prayer that I prayed as I walked in the community,
Right.
that was my answer that this was where I needed to be for this period of time.
I picked up on that, and I'm like, I've got to go
Yeah.
back and make sure I heard that correctly.
Yeah.
'Cause, and
Yeah.
look, sometimes it's little signs that help you know where you're
That's
supposed to go.
right. That's right.
So, is there anything else you'd want people to know about the YWCA that you haven't already covered?
Well, we are in the middle of a campaign, although I'm leaving. But I feel that the staff here will continue to work on this campaign. Back when the pandemic was kind of coming to a slow end, it really didn't end, but where
Right.
people felt like we could get back out in the community, we did a feasibility study on campaigns. Is this a great time to start a campaign for the YWCA? We only had one campaign prior, and that when I talked about the bubble, that was the only one. And then the group that did the feasibility study said this is a perfect time for you to start a campaign. But things have changed, and that was because of the pandemic. People were just had giving hearts. There was a lot of racial unrest across our nation. There was a lot of tension, and people wanted to come together. They wanted all of that to stop. They wanted to give and people get well and protected from the COVID. And so people were giving, so that they thought this is a great time. Well, we didn't start the campaign. By that time, it was 2022 when the feasibility was done, or right at the end of 2021. So we didn't really start the campaign until 2023, end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023. And our goal was to raise 9.8 million. Well, we have raised over 6 million, but we've got about 3 million left to go. So we are still moving forward. We feel like we can do it. However, with the monies that we have raised, we are a very functional organization. Our auditors said to us very clearly, to the board, this organization is here to stay. They are not going to be default in gifts because they're strong, they're solid, they have a good financial controls, so they will spend money wisely in our community. So the monies that we're trying to raise now is to do the aesthetics for our aquatic center. It was built in the 70s and it still looked like the 70s. So we're trying to make sure that we can find the funds to bring it to a modern day facility. And that means some remodeling, not build new, but remodel.
And it sounds like you certainly have left things in good shape for whoever comes in after you.
Yeah.
And to kind of wrap this up, I always love for people to get advice. You've already shared some, but if a young woman, and I say young woman because that's the YWCA's focus
Right,
as women,
right.
were to come to you today and right out of college and say, I'm getting started in my career, what advice would you give that person about how to point their career in the right direction and to get started on the right foot?
I think what a young woman should do is to, there's a book that I have started to read, and I feel like this is really a good opportunity to share this because I think it will also answer that question, Frank. It's called Rising Strong, and it's by Brene Brown is the author. And this book is all about embracing their vulnerabilities and learning by their mistakes. So my advice to women, don't be afraid to make mistakes. You just need to learn by them, not repeat them, and try things new and know your vulnerability. Know what makes you feel uncomfortable and listen to those signs because that's a lot of way young women have gotten themselves in bad positions. May it be abuse from their so-called loved one, or maybe human trafficking, not listening to those signs that can make them aware that their surroundings is not comfortable and move forward. Take those chances of making good choices and moving forward is what I would share to young women today.
I think that the advice about listening to your instinct about your surroundings is certainly good
Mhm.
advice. If the hair stands up on the back of your neck, there's a reason. You may not know what it is, but listen to that. And I think, the advice about not being afraid to fail, I would encourage anybody, whether it's a male or female, to find an employer, a supervisor who gives them permission to make mistakes, but also says, don't make the same mistake over and over. But if you haven't
Right.
made a mistake, you haven't tried anything.
That's right.
And
That's right.
we did a whole year study on a John Maxwell book at our office this year, and he talks about failing forward. Everybody fails. The question is, do you get up and move forward and do things better after that? And that's,
Yeah,
I think having that acceptance of the fact that it's okay to fail, but don't be afraid to ask questions either.
that's right.
But
And
I saw a great quote that said, you have to take risk. You can't steal second base if you keep your foot on first.
exactly. That's a good quote. And
And
another thing that I would say is don't be afraid to reach out for a mentor.
100%.
A mentor can help you from making mistakes because they can share the mistakes that they have made and tell you how to move around those ideas and mistakes. So a mentor is great. And you
And
could
if you
have more than
mentor because
one.
they, and
You
if
could
you
have more
mentor
than one.
because they've never made a mistake, maybe don't pick them.
That's right. That's a good thing to
Because
think
I'll
about.
guarantee you they have. I know I've made
Right.
my share, and I try not to make the same ones over and over. That's the
That's
big thing.
right.
Is
Yeah.
well, Velva, thank you for being with us today, and we appreciate your time and appreciate your service, and congratulations on your upcoming retirement. I'm sure you'll find some way to occupy your time. I don't see you sitting still, but I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
be contributing to your community just in a different way. But thank you for joining
That's
us today.
right. Yes, I'm going to be in the community working, and so don't if you need me anything in any capacity, Frank, let me know. But thank you for having me on your podcast today, and I wish you a wonderful Christmas and New Year.
So likewise, same to you and your husband. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.